We arrived in Laverne September the 1st, I think it was, 1948.
1948.
Mm-hmm.
And you had a map about how to get here.
Oh, you know, back then the gas stations would do a map for you and draw a line. So when we got to Pasadena, the map just had a big circle and said, well, we couldn't find Laverne, but it's in that circle.
It's somewhere there.
Yes. Somewhere around Pasadena, they said.
In August of 1917, the college and the town took the name Laverne. Mrs. Bixby had her ranch up north, and you know Laverne Heights School, that was always Laverne in the name of ranches and so on. And the crate labels for that period are Laverne, Lordsburg Laverne label. And so that's where the name comes from. It is not green, it isn't verde. We had someone from Tennessee come here once from Vergne, trying to say, well, it's related to that. We don't know where it originally came from. But town and college took a new name in fall of 1917.
One of the reasons I picked Laverne was I didn't even know Laverne existed.
Oh, really?
And we had lived in Orange County. And we moved just before my senior year down to Coachella Valley, to Thermal. My dad wanted me to go to Redlands. Our church down there was affiliated with Chapman. It's a Christian church. Mm-hmm. And I went into my English classroom one time and there was a poster of Laverne College. So one day, two other guys and myself, we took off. We came to Laverne first. It was a foggy morning. We drove up. I wanted to play basketball. It was a small school, the old gym. So I figured I had a chance to play there. I was kind of a late bloomer. Never played varsity basketball in high school. But I was walking down the steps of Founders on the east side when after 40 minutes of tour, which didn't take a long time then, there weren't that many buildings, and knew I wanted to come to Laverne.
When I came here for an interview, and at that time, President Harold Fasnacht was the president, and he was head of the business department here also at the same time. So I asked him for direction, how to get to Laverne, and he gave me the direction, but says, come downtown, Laverne. I said, where about Laverne, And he says, yo, you can't miss it. And I had never been to this area, to the eastern side of Los Angeles. And I had in my mind a city like Los Angeles. He just said, come off the freeway and take the road, and that will bring you right to the capital. I said, downtown Laverne. And I kept insisting, where about downtown? What's the number? And he said, no, you can't miss it. So I came off the freeway, I came here to downtown. I didn't see any universities down there. I didn't see any big buildings or anything. And there were so many orange groves. So right here where the police station was, there was a gas station. And Frank Johnson was the owner, and he was also the mayor of city of Laverne. So I stopped there. He came out to clean my windshield wiper. I was going to get. He thought I was going to get some gas. I said, no, I'm sorry. I get the gas later. I'm in the rush and I'm lost, and I'm trying to get to Laverne College. Can you please direct me what direction it is? He gave me a strange look. He says, you're looking at it. And actually, there was no sign, Laverne College.
Oh.
That came much later, I think it was during Ahmed Sarafian's time when we got that sign, Laverne.
With the bricks,
Yeah, with the brick. With the name. There was no sign anywhere. Laverne College or University of Laverne, there was just no sign. So how would I know where it is?
Exactly.
I went to American Embassy at Island of Cyprus. I'm looking where Laverne is. Then I saw Pasadena and the airport. So I said, okay, it looks like airport, Pasadena, Laverne. I came to on Labor Day, 1976, and lots of people were on strike. I saw one bus, as soon as I came out there, I saw one bus, it says LAX to Pasadena.
Oh.
I said, may I? He said, yes. So I went in and they dropped me at Pasadena Hilton. So then the taxi drivers, they were there, I asked them where Laverne is, they didn't know.
Oh.
And I was really shocked. I said, oh my God. So they looked at the map, they said, yes, we found Laverne. 20 miles away. They said $28. I said, okay. I came with $80, so I spent 20 on the bus, 28. I said, in a day I'll be out of
Money.
So I came, 1976, September 1st, I guess, in front of Founders Hall. There was no one. Labor Day. I looked left, I looked right. There is no one.
I was an undergraduate and master's degree student at Chapman University. I played volleyball, and when we competed against Verne College, so I was aware of where Laverne College was. From Orange County to out here at that time seemed like it was way out in the boonies.
I had heard that there was an Armenian American International College here that was started. This was right after I had graduated from Kansas social psychology program. And I said, and we were in Los Angeles at the time, and I said, well, let me go visit, see what this place looks like. I didn't know how to spell it. Laverne was Lavurn, is how I say. It didn't show up anywhere. Eventually got myself to the campus.
I was at Nissan as one of the 7 directors of the company, director of dealer support. This was in 1982. We had a Nissan dealer in Pomona who was also a member of the Board of Trustees of the University of Laverne. He approached me one day and he said, "You'd be an asset to the University of Laverne." "Where's the University of Laverne? I never heard of it." He said, "Well, it's just north of Pomona." And I said, "Well, it's strange. I've been here since 1952 and I've never heard of it." And he says, "Unfortunately, a lot of people don't know about the University of Laverne. However, I would like to recommend you for the Board of Trustees." The next time I got to them concerning the university was a luncheon with Dr. Ahmed Sarafian, Dick Romero, and myself. Pointed out that the university needed more members of the board that had real practical business experience in the free market. I consented to become a member, and I was honored that. And I also remembered to mention to Dr. Sarafian the fact that I'd never heard of the University of Laverne.
When I was still at Presbyterian Hospital, as I said, one of my employees, or one of the department heads, was getting his master's degree from Health Services Management at Laverne, and his master's thesis was basically on enhancing the environment of his department. And one of the vice presidents had brought that to me and said, "You might want to read this," and I was leafing through it. And I thought, this is an absolutely outstanding project. And I told my VP I wanted to talk to the department head. He came in and I said, "You know, Jay, this is one of the finest pieces I ever read. Why did you do this?" He said, "Well, this is my master's thesis project from the University of Laverne." And I turned to him and I said, "Well, where's the University of Laverne?" and he said, "Well, we have an off-campus site here at Presbyterian Hospital, and every Thursday night we have a professor who comes in and take course after course after course. And after a couple of years, 3 years, we've gone through the program. But basically, it's so convenient because it's right here on site instead of having to go to Laverne, which is about a 30, 45-minute drive from Whittier." And I said, "Really?" And my vice president looked at me and he said, "Kent, you approved this arrangement with the University of Laverne."
I went to Texas, and then my wife and children came from Walnut Creek, Texas. When I was there, one of the professors told me, "Raj, I saw an ad, University of Laverne, wants a person like you. And could you call them, I said, "Laverne is in United States." I said, "Laverne, it is French."
Yeah.
That professor gave me a telephone number. It was telephone number of Bob.
Yeah.
So my wife, I said to my wife, I want to go to a smaller school like that. You know, I'm Texas with all those kind of. I said, okay, call. Nobody hurt you. I called. Bob on the phone, so nice, so good. He said, I invite you to come for a visit. I said, okay. He wanted me to go to Ontario. I don't know, Ontario is an airport.
Oh.
I said, in Canada.
We created the mosaic entry signs for the University of Laverne that front onto Bonita Avenue. I remember working on those, installing them. There was just this excitement among people that worked here that finally, at last, we are identifying ourselves. David Flotten truly sort of created the opportunity for those signs. He had a vision, and it did. It created an identity for the university that hadn't existed. We were saying, here we are. Mm-hmm. Because before that, you drove by on Bonita or anywhere, and what's that?
When I was in Boston, I shared my apartment with a roommate who had graduated from Pitzer College. I didn't really know too much about Pitzer College, but he had some furniture with him. One of the things that he had were orange crates, and he used them as coffee table. And they were orange crates that said Laverne on them. And I had never heard of Laverne until then. He had said that when he was a student at Pitzer College, they went to the orchards at Laverne and they stole the crates. It never occurred to me that, 10 years later, I would be teaching at the University of Laverne.
When you actually saw the ad in the Los Angeles Times, did you have any idea where Laverne was?
No, I really wasn't quite sure. I was living in Orange County at the time, and I had just moved to California, so I didn't really know a whole lot about Laverne. I just knew sort of where it was because I remember hearing that it was close to Claremont.
I was working as a producer for West Covina Community Television, which was located on the Mount Sac campus. I always wanted to be in higher education. Saw an ad in the LA Times for a professor at the University of Laverne. I had no idea where Laverne was. Actually drove the wrong way on the freeway to get here for the interview, but made it. Interesting side note, not knowing very much about the university, came on campus, there were a bunch of nuns sitting around, and I said, I wonder if this is a Catholic school.
I played football at Laverne, and for me, playing football was a big part of my life, where I played in high school at Arroyo High School, which is in the city of El Monte, and I graduated in 1989. From there, I went to Pasadena City College to play football, and I was hoping to get a scholarship to move on and play at the university level. When the scholarship opportunity did not come about, John Arden, who is an alumnus of University of Laverne, he was on the coaching staff at Pasadena City College. And just in talking, he asked me if I still wanted to play, and I said, sure. So he said, well, why don't you go to Laverne? And at that time, I replied, where's that?
I actually did not know where the University of Laverne was. I lived in Claremont. I used to ride my bike a lot up and down Bonita and Manero, and I was very familiar with the super tents. But I thought the super tents were an industrial complex, and it was some kind of factory in there. And I remember riding my bike back over here, trying to find the university. Kind of looked around for a day, saw that there's real students here. It's a real university. It was great. There's a football field, baseball field.
In great contrast to most of these 15 leopards, some prospective students knew about Verne College long before they were old enough to attend. Church of the Brethren members they learned about the college from family members visiting students in church summer camps.
My early memories go back to, of course, my information about Laverne College as I was growing up in Medford, Oregon, and then through high school. And the parents of my parents always said, Jerry, we want you to go to Laverne College. We had deputation teams and visitation teams from the college coming up to Oregon every summer, and at our camps at Camp Myrtlewood, the quartets would come through and deputation teams would come through.
We were both members of the Church of the Brethren, I was from the Live Oak Church of the Brethren that had recruited over the years many, many students, plus the fact my dad attended here 1 year in the 30s. He would like to have come back, however, money was a little short. So he didn't come back, and so he was always very enthusiastic about us learning about Laverne. And Paul Kampmeyer would come to our church regularly and let us know what was going on at Laverne. Then also we would just stay in touch through summer camps. We knew Ort and Corny Ortmeyer.
Dwight.
And Dwight Hannawalt, who would come to Peaceful Pines. That was our camp.
Werner Deller and various quartets and so forth would come to Camp Peaceful Pines in Northern California.
Both of our parents went here. I didn't grow up in Laverne, but I had grandparents that lived here in Laverne. So we constantly were coming to Laverne. My dad and my mom would come to homecoming games. So as a child, I came to homecoming games and sat in the bleachers and watched the games. And through church, camp, all those kinds of connections through the church mostly.
How about you, Ari?
Well, my mother graduated from Laverne.
Certainly I was familiar with Laverne because my grandmother had gone to Laverne, my mother had gone to Laverne, my aunt and my uncles and several cousins. So I had been around the Laverne campus, and I was a member of the Covina Church of the Brethren, and at that time the Brethren and the college were closely related. And actually, while I was in the youth group in Covina, we made field trips to Laverne College.
My exposure to the University of Laverne started when I was a kid. My folks were always youth leaders at the Church of the Brethren, and they truly believed in the University of Laverne. We had the choir coming to and stayed in our home. We always had some service workers from the University of Laverne, and so I was always exposed to the University of Laverne. And so the three girls in my family all graduated from the University of Laverne. They would bring carloads of students, potential students, down to Laverne because they wanted to encourage as many of those of us who were in the youth group down at home, Modesto. And so I don't remember time when I was trying to think about this, that University of Laverne was not a part of our lives.
I grew up Church of the Brethren, and I was living in San Diego. My dad pastored the San Diego Church of the Brethren, and when it came time to make applications to colleges, my dad said I could apply one place. So I applied only to the University of Laverne. That was the only place I applied.
I was always going to Laverne as a young child. I mean, this was the place I was coming. There was no question. There was no talk about that. It was my expectation. It was my parents' expectation. They both were graduates. Myrna Wheeler and Myrna Long Wheeler and Dennis Wheeler were both graduates in 1960. They built a home along with the other 60 graduates down on 2nd Street. The Brants had orange groves that they had leveled and made lots, and all these 1960 graduates were down there. Ben Hines, I grew up next to Ben Hines, his family, and the Hoovers, and across the street were the Brants and Jerry and Bernie Pence, and the Monses, and the Brennickes, and the Wilkinsons, and the Hannawalts, and the Redmonds, the Boardmans, the Fricks. So we called it the Brethren Ghetto.
I'm from the East Coast, and I had never heard of the University of Laverne. I had never heard of the Church of the Brethren. So all of this was just so new and so different. And I started doing my research, and I immediately went on the website and was checking out the statistics. And the more I read, part of me was very confused. It has a really small traditional undergraduate student population. Then you have this really big adult learner section. You have grad schools. You have all these regional campuses. How does this work? it was really fascinating for me just to try to figure out Laverne. And the more I learned about Laverne, the more I came to appreciate the mission, the vision, who our people are, and it just feels so right to be here.
I think, like everybody else, once I got here, I fell in love with the university. And I'll tell you just a quick story that I've told a lot about what solidified in my mind why I'd like to stay at Laverne, why I liked Laverne. And that is that I ran into Skip Manero, and I knew he was in administration, maybe a teacher. I knew he was important. And I ran into him in the quad, and he said, "Jonathan, you're new here. How's it going? What do you teach?" And I started to tell him, well, I teach Bible and professor of religion, mainly New Testament. My real expertise is in Luke and Matthew. Actually, it's in Q. And what I do in Q, which is a source, mainly the theories that I use and the methods I use in archaeology and urbanization and blah, blah, blah. And I got real detailed, and I got real off into my area of expertise and what my research is on, and kept going and going. And, young pup, real proud of my research. And finally, I realized I was dominating the discussion, so I figured I'd throw him a bone and said, "Okay, Skip, what do you teach?" He took his finger and he stuck it in my face and he said, "Students." That has really stuck with me, and how important it is to focus on students and student success. And that it's through student success that we change the world, through social mobility, community engagement, civic engagement. And we make the world a better place, and we have opportunity to make the world even better. It's important in my thinking that the university and the university community always remind itself of the why. Why does Laverne exist? And always acknowledge that we exist for a beautiful reason and a wonderful cause, and a critical cause in the world we live in today. So the focus on the why, I hope, is the common thread of the history of the University of Laverne.
And the why, of course, is students and values.
That's right.
Yes.
That's exactly right. I think the University of Laverne, Southern California, the United States, finds itself in an enormous demographic shift that it has yet to come to terms with. In 15 or so years, 70% of all our students in public schools will be Hispanic in California.
Yeah.
By 2040, 50% of the nation could be Hispanic.
Yeah.
So there's this massive demographic shift going on, and I think Laverne does very well with Hispanics. We do very well with a variety of groups that other universities struggle to help graduate. And if we can focus on that and do that even better, we can become a national model for higher education. And I think that's the sweet spot for the university.
From when you first came to what it is now?
A lot of changes. I think the exposure that Laverne has, and it was very interesting. I recall very clearly, I had just joined the University of Laverne as a faculty. It was during my first year. I attended a conference, and then economics conference, and I had the name tag, Laverne College name. And the conference, everybody was asking me, "Where are you from, France? What part of France are you?" With my accent, Laverne name. What part of France is Laverne College is located? I said, "No, it's right here east of Los Angeles. It's the community next to Claremont." They knew Claremont, but they did not know Laverne. Now I have no problem wherever I go, at least within the United States. They know that we've got the exposure. I think that's one of the biggest differences since I first came to Laverne. Now people know Laverne. Oh yes, we know next to Claremont. Or
Yeah.
People know. I think that's the biggest change that I see.
People kept saying, well, you're such a well-kept secret. And we didn't want to be a well-kept secret. We wanted to be a common household word in at least this region. And I think we've achieved that in large part.
Deborah, she's just incredible.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
we've got exposure globally, nationally. You just name it.
When I came here, I looked around and I saw unbelievably talented faculty and students who wanted to achieve more than they ever imagined, and an academic educational environment that I believe should be a model for the entire country. So I think what I was able to do was, one, create possibilities so that faculty, where they weren't necessarily presenting the great things they were doing in their classes or with their students or their own research, helping them to see the importance of publishing, which they were all doing, but I wanted to make it public that it was good, it was okay to be a scholar and a professor, that's part of our role as professors. So I think we have more going on nationally with our publications and our presentations. That's one. Two, we created the Laverne experience, which I think is a very distinctive model for integrative learning and community engagement that is threaded through our curriculum. So I encouraged individual faculty and staff to present nationally and to publish, because part of being a scholar means contributing to a body of knowledge where others can improve their practice. So now we have faculty, you among them, who are excited about co-teaching, integrative learning, integrative teaching, connecting it to writing, connecting it to the community, and sharing it publicly so that other institutions will say, wow, that Laverne experience, what are they doing that the students are on fire with what and how they're learning? And they're connecting with each other, to the community, to their faculty, and they're really living the Laverne experience. So when you say nationally, I am on many national boards, and I am always writing about the university, but I'm doing that because I'm trying to do what I want all of us to be doing, which is sharing publicly the good things that are happening here. And I think that stems from pride, that I'm so proud of everything that everybody's doing, and I want others to be just as proud of what they're doing and sharing that publicly. So I do think we have more people in higher education who know about the University of Laverne, but it's because of everything everybody's doing.
I would like to thank Brian Best, Dr. Ben Jenkins, and Bill Neal for assistance in creating the documentary series, An Oral History of the University of Laverne. I would like to thank these interviewees, as well as the University Archives in Wilson Library, for the use of the interviews listed here. Finally, I'd like to acknowledge that many of the illustrations used in this documentary came from these works. Happy 125th Anniversary, University of Laverne, 1891 to 2017.